It's Punk Rock Safety Podcast. This is episode 2, so I guess we're doing it. We figured out the set list, and now we're gonna see what happens.
This one won't suck.
It's or less. Look, fast and loud is sort of the mantra for punk, isn't it? So I'm not that fast, but we can keep turning the volume up. It'll be great. It's gonna be awesome.
So it wasn't
it was a good show. We said we were going to talk about safety professionals, but you had to get a limber up a little before we get there.
Yeah.
Speaking of limbering up,
you got to do your stretches before you talk about safety.
My co-hosts, Ron Gant and Dave Proven,
that's
some
me.
limbering to do. They're going to talk a little bit about. No, I don't know. What have you been up to, guys?
I don't know. I'm trying to finish school and get limber.
Yeah, a lot of people go to school for 7 years.
Yeah, apparently they don't call you doctors yet because I've been going for 10 fucking years.
11-7
podcast
years
on my PhD story because I really want to tell everybody.
It's a movie called Billy Madison, actually. So
it might have to be like a 3-part podcast.
One separated by years.
One episode for every school.
just me ranting about how stupid I am. It's fine. It's fine.
It's going good.
Your head's got a thin candy shell. How are you, Dave?
Yeah, good. Gearing up for a big tour. So about to hit going to Singapore, then going to the US, catch up with you boys and go to Banff, Ben. See you there.
Ben, are you going?
And then
super weird not going. Thought I had to be invited.
Apparently that's not
how this works.
So for those playing along at home, Ben was really disappointed that he wasn't going to be at a conference because the organizers didn't ask him and didn't kind of realize that the way that these lineups work is you have to tell the organizers you're interested. Which is what I did for the record. That's what I did for ASSP in Denver, in your backyard, Ben. I did tell the organizers twice that I was interested, and still
they said no, thank you.
It was a no.
Not even as a support act. Not even playing on the morning of the first day when people are walking in. Just
hard no.
That's a hard pass, sir.
In my defense, I was invited last year, and I've gotten used to this sort of luxury, spectacular, luxurious treatment. Apparently, was a fluke in the system. That's
big time, good heart.
Heavy as the crown.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's Ben, yourself,
I don't know what that means.
What have you been up to, Ben?
The world tour is finally over. I'm sitting here at home for a little bit. What am I doing? Golly. I'm going to go hang out in some utility service settings. That tends to be ditches and things like that, but super cool.
That's fun.
Hang out. Let's see, at American Airlines has got I got to get it right. The SMS Forum coming up on April 10th and 11th.
Where's that, in Dallas or something?
DFW.
It's in Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
DFW. American has a really, I don't want to give them a big head, but they got a cool facility down there. Very, very cool.
Don't worry, they're not listening.
Spend
guaranteed.
Spend a Friday night at Billy Bob's, hey?
All of it. I'm going to do all. Yeah. Anybody want to give a boot order and I'll bring something? Bring something back. You know what boots would go great with? Man. Really good looking t-shirt.
That's a good looking t-shirt right there.
The only reason that you stick with the pot is for the merch. I mean, let's face it.
He was looking for an excuse to make the shirts.
I needed a shirt. I ran out of the human shirts. Needed something else. Change up the game a little bit.
So I did listen to the first episode, boys, and it was as bad as we thought it might be. Um, but there's
So we're going
only
to try to up it this time, or
there's only one way to go. And we said we'd talk about the safety profession.
Yeah, probably ought
Today.
to.
So
Hmm.
opening comments.
Dave, I think you get the opening comments on this
Yeah,
because
I think you have this whole like PhD about this nonsense.
you've done some publishing, as the kids say.
I'm
Ooh,
curious.
kids are definitely talking about publishing.
Yeah, I think so. Peer review, so hot right now. No cap.
I'd prefer to hear what you guys have to say, Ron, particularly your choice of the word nonsense. Um,
No, so I mean, so here's a question: why does the world need safety professionals? Like, why? Because
Is this, is this how we end this podcast?
Yeah.
We just, you know what, they don't.
We don't.
Let's call it.
I mean,
Call it.
that's as punk rock as it gets, right?
So-
But no, for real. Like, think about it. Like, so what exactly does a safety professional do? And when I think about what I was trained to do as a safety professional, because I was trained, I got the certifications, all that. I was trained to answer questions about engineering, about legal matters. That's mostly it.
Science.
Some science stuff, right? But like most organizations I've worked with have engineers, they have lawyers. Why do they need me to answer these questions?
Why do
Is
they
this
need
like
you
Office Space
specifically,
where
or
you're-
why do they need a safety person?
You're taking the order from
Really,
the
this is
customer
just-
and giving it to the engineer.
Can you guys just tell me I matter?
That's, you know what though? I was talking to and I should call him out here, Josh Kreger, who is, I'm gonna mess up his title, but head of safety innovation, which is a really cool title.
That's cool.
For a big insurance company, which is not who you think of as
Yeah,
being
that's
innovative.
that's
But Josh is a hellraiser.
not where I thought
man.
that was going.
But one of the things that he said, and Josh starts with ranting and escalates from there. But one of the things that he said was, look, you got to have I think he called it a healthy disdain for our profession. Like, you know, if you're convinced that this is the most important thing out there, then the tail wags the dog. I think you have to go, what can I actually contribute to the success of this organization, instead of, you know, like we've all been in organizations where accounting sort of takes over their little part of the world, and you go, geez, this is not just about filling out expense reports. We have something to do.
Hmm.
You know, healthy disdain. That was,
Yeah. I
There
think
you
that
go,
makes
Josh.
sense to me because like what you just said really resonates, because a lot of times these supporting processes will just stay with accounting for a minute, and then you could draw the analogy to safety. Like accounting is not the function of the organization.
Yeah.
Right? It's a supportive function. But it oftentimes becomes like a lot of energy gets pushed towards making accounting's life easier, or making it easier to do accounting, which at some point becomes backwards, right? Like, and I think similar happens with safety. Like safety is not the function of the organization.
Right.
It's supposed to be a supporting function. And so much of what gets done in safety has this air of self-importance, you know, of like, this is a really big fucking deal. And if you don't believe me, you're a bad person. You know?
terrible person.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what, yeah, it's, you get that in all these sort of supporting functions, I think, of organizations, because I think it's natural to maybe think, look, I'm not the one bringing in the business or creating the product. I've got to make myself seem important. And I think safety people, the three of us are included in this. Right? There
Mhm.
is this stereotypical safety person, right? That sort of holds on to all the knowledge and says, look, I'm the keeper of this shit. And if you want some, I'll dole a little bit out to you, but you know, I'm busy.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Mhm.
I forgot the question that anyone asked.
Opening
Does the
opening
world
comments.
even need?
Opening.
Does
Oh,
the
does the world
world-
even need? So, you know,
Yeah.
I was involved in an organization, and we had to do a really big restructure and a really big cost out exercise, which was resulting in lots and lots of safety people going to leave the organization. And I went to Professor Decker. Ron knows Sid, Ben. I'm not sure how well
Sure.
you know.
I'm not sure if you
Sid.
met him.
And I said, you know, like what is the science? This is about a decade ago. What does the science say? What do you think about the role of safety professional? And very direct, mostly useless, unnecessary, largely counterproductive. Organizations would be better off without them if managers did what managers should do, and the workers were able to do what the workers need to do, and the technical people were there to do the technical things. Then you know, everyone would be happy, life would be good. I kind of had a bit of a different view of like there must be a role and a function. Hence why I went to school and had a look at it. And I kind of do think there's a really unique function, but in some ways it might be a very different function from what is performed in or has been performed in lots of ways. And I think just on that last thing I'd say to start with on that support function thing is the hard thing is we're the only function that's, you know, separate from the work that actually needs to be connected to the work and know how the sausage gets made. You know, if you're in accounting and HR and any other legal or any other function in the organization, you don't really care how people do their job, do their work. Therefore, you don't really intervene or get that involved in what people do. Therefore, they don't really like you or dislike you. You know, might be hard to submit an expense report, but doesn't really change your day-to-day work. But you know, safety is like a bunch of meddling kids, right? We've got our hands in the cookie jar, and
it's like a Scooby-Doo episode.
Got our hands in the
This is
cookie jar,
fantastic.
and they're not our cookies, right? So people don't like you messing with their food.
Yeah,
Dave is totally like Shaggy, right? Like,
yeah. And this is metaphor on metaphor too, which is it's going
but
7:30 where Dave is. So.
In where I am in the world, it's much more difficult to get any of the drugs that Shaggy was on.
But like, no, I think what you just said, Dave, about like being as connected to the work is, I think, a really good point. I've never thought about it like that before. Because the other thing I would say that makes safety professionals unique, not completely, is we're also one of the functions in the organization that touches every other function, right? Like we overlap with everything in some way, shape, or form. Maybe I'll say almost everything because someone will point out, but what about this one? And we're like, shut up, nerd.
You can say everything. I'll back you up. You can say everything.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like,
we'll
so
agree
like,
between the three of us. It'll be fine.
so we can create that connection between that blunt and sharp end, but we also, to your point, are connected to the sharp end like no other blunt end function. I think that's an interesting point and really important.
Yeah, and I guess
it
matters. It matters about the individual and their approach and their relationships and all of the, let's say, call, I don't know, non-technical aspects, critical people skills, ways of working, relationships, influence, outlook on life. You know, like it is all going to determine, I guess, the usefulness, and let's just say not even success, just the usefulness of that person to the organization, to the work. Because if the work doesn't change, the risk doesn't change. And I guess that's what our role as safety people needs to be, is shaping work to make it better, more effective, more efficient, more safe.
Why do you think that people say, because I don't think this is unique to your experience, that people say we'd be better off if we didn't, if managers did what managers are supposed to do and so on.
Yeah, because I mean,
doing the work just did it. Why do we need these safety people walking around?
And like, and to that end, like what pops in my head when you say that, Ben, like a way I would, because like I hear safety people say all the time, I'm trying to work myself out of a job. And I'm curious, like what you guys think of that, because I think that's related to what you just said, Ben. Like if everyone else was doing what they were supposed to do, then they wouldn't need me.
Yeah,
well, and like,
I think it's a nicer way.
My view of that is it's kind of a pretty ignorant comment, right? Like it's because I think it's hugely valuable in a complex system that involves inherently high safety risks. I think it's necessary and appropriate to have a function that's looking at that system and looking at that organization through the lens of safety and trying to understand what's going on right now. What's the shape of risk in this complex system? How's it moving? How's it changing? What's going on? And the other roles, the management roles, the employee roles, have, you know, they're much more conflicted. They've got pressures and goal conflicts and challenges and stakeholders and other needs, which can, through no fault of their own, potentially miss something in relation to safety. So, you know, I don't think safety roles need to be there to do a whole bunch of transactions and admin and create a nuisance of themselves. But I think eyes and ears on safety 100% is a useful thing to do. And I think like NASA, the NASA safety organization has got a pretty good, you know, balance and handle on what they're there to do now. As an example.
I think the contrast to that, and I think where that comment goes, is sort of a nicer, less fuck you version of I'm here to keep you safe.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because what you said is,
if you weren't so fucking stupid, you wouldn't need me.
If you just shut up and do the thing that you're supposed to do. Right.
I'm here. Oh, even better. I'm here to protect you from yourself.
Well, and that's it, right? It's I'm here to keep you safe. I'm here to protect you from yourself. And the crazy thing to me is, and this is oversimplification, I guess, but you know, if you're talking to fully formed humans at work, they made it that far without you. You know, good, bad, or other, like they've made it without you mothering them. It may have been a rough road, man, but they didn't need you 10 years ago. So this like self-importance thing that I'm going to keep you safe from yourself. I don't remember. I blacked out a little bit last episode, I guess, but I may have mentioned sitting in a room with a safety director who literally said, I'm here to keep you safe from yourselves, to a team of about 20 people. And talk about reading the room, man. I mean, these are all ops folks that are out doing hard work every damn day going, I don't know, dude, you've been here about 6 months. I didn't like you then. I like you a whole lot less now.
Yeah.
And the arrogance of that, I don't think it's just ignorance. I think it's applied arrogance.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, we pay the same insurance premium, right? Like I'm not getting a super special deal on my car insurance because my title is safety professional. I'm a genius at it.
Yeah.
It's that global view. And Dave, that's to your point, right? That global view of thinking about how you navigate risk when it's changing all the time. And that is not everyone's job. It's everyone's job to navigate, make those risk-informed decisions, but they don't get to just sit back and mess with it any more than they get to sit back and think about budgets for 200 days out of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, what pops in my head as you're talking there is like the role of a coach in a high performing, you know, sports context, right?
So you mean like any NBA team other than Golden State this season?
I'm fucking out of here.
All right, cheap shot.
We're coming back.
More.
Just wait. Just give us time.
Sorry, Steve. The game's moved on. Anyway.
Let's not say elite. Let's just sports setting. It'll be
just
fun.
say sports.
Yeah, they like, you know, they're having fun out there. That's what matters. So.
Keep coach.
But like, no, so like coaches don't. I mean, you'll see lots of coaches who have played the game, but it's pretty rare to find a coach who was at the top of the game from a performance perspective, right? And I wonder, but you don't see any of those coaches being like, I'm here to protect you from being a shitty player, you know, or anything like that. You know, they understand that like there's got to be a balance there, that they have a role to play. They can see things that maybe the person in that moment can't see. Doesn't mean that person sucks or stupid. You know what I mean? Like they're able to provide a perspective that is unique to their position in the organization or in that system. And there's like a humility that's there often, not always. Some coaches are dicks, but
Bobby Knight would not be not a great safety guy.
Yeah, not a good analogy here.
I will throw a damn chair at you.
He's in that like
flip a table right now.
That's like a goal for the podcast. If we can get someone so fired up they flip the fucking table.
Flip a fucking table. I threaten it a lot, but I've never done it. Kind of almost died just now. Almost flipped a table accidentally.
We have gone
No,
2
that's
episodes without killing someone.
yeah. It's
But the
we
analogy,
should
so
get
I
a
mean,
sign. We should get a sign.
had
So
you
it's sort of support or maybe facilitation in some ways other than I I don't know. It's tricky in some more in some parts of the world than others, or more in other industries too. You know, like pharmaceutical, right?
Mhm.
There's this very heavy compliance function to things that will not go away. And that
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
typically in some way handed to safety people, quality or compliance. And look, I'm not gonna let's use Boeing as an example. And it's just one that comes to mind for no particular reason. You may have
Who?
heard of it.
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
no, they make airplanes. I think it's a startup, if I understand correctly.
It used to be an engineering company.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, small manufacturer of aircraft. But right, there's this massive focus right now, to your point, Ron, on you got to hire a CEO who has an engineering background. Okay. I want a CEO that can do CEO shit, not I don't need
Yeah.
them manufacturing bolts. Let's do bolt people for that. And I think in
Which would help probably
safety,
keep the doors on.
I've look, I'm not a door expert.
I'm not a door guy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm not going to
yes.
claim expertise in doors. I'm just here to keep you from fucking up doors. Right? Just like the safety thing.
Yeah.
But you get these people, healthcare does the same thing, right?
Mhm.
Real focus on patient safety, and they would love you to have been a clinician, preferably some sort of retired clinician who doesn't want to sit at home all day.
Yeah.
Oh, you should do patient safety. Airlines do the same thing, right? And I'm not saying an airline captain can't be a really good safety person, but making it a core part of the qualification seems weird that you
Mm.
can only do because safety, understanding risk holistically is sort of domain agnostic, maybe. Or
I
do
think
you
it's
disagree with me?
I think it's I think you want someone with a bias for understanding the work. So um and it's not just those industries you mentioned. We see it in the resources sector all the time.
Yeah, sure.
Construction, you find they value operations management experience in the sector. Um, and I guess why might they do that? They might do that because they think that those people are going to be more pragmatic. They think that those people are, and they think that those people are going to get on better with the people that they're working with.
Yeah.
They think that, and so be less likely to just raise hell for the sake of raising hell, and cause problems.
I
And
thought that's what we were doing here.
yeah, and
No, no.
I find it kind of challenging though, because it's again it's such a unique and difficult function to try to understand, because some people might also say, would you put someone in head of accounting who wasn't an accountant, or head of legal who wasn't a lawyer?
Yeah.
So it's easy to make an argument.
I've said those things before,
Yeah.
Dave.
And so have I. And then you put someone in a head of safety, and then it's kind of like it's like you said about a CEO who can do CEO shit. We want a safety person who can do safety shit. We just haven't done a very good job anywhere of defining what we want our safety
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do.
Well, there's my question, right?
Yeah.
Is so if I'm an HR, I'm not an HR person, not a good one anyway. But if I'm HR and I'm trying to hire someone, or I'm a director at a company, I'm trying to hire someone that is a safety manager. Like, what are the qualifications? If it's an accountant, you need a CPA or the equivalent wherever you are in the world. Or if you're an attorney, you should probably have some credential that shows that. But if you're hiring a safety person, what do you hire for? Is there a qualification?
I mean, there is but to me,
Are there
to me,
good qualifications?
yeah, we might be naming names if we do this over a beer sometime, but no, for real though, to me, this gets to, I think, what pops in my head when Dave was talking, and I think it's related to the question you're asking, is because safety people do safety shit, to me that just begs the question, what do we mean by safety? Like, what is safety shit?
If
You
if
know,
only
and
one of the three of us wrote
a
pretty
whole
extensively on this.
yeah, if only.
Super.
But
I
like,
was
I mean,
That'd be
so
cool.
seriously, like, and I think your paper, Dave, that you did with Dave Woods and Sid and Drew, I think, right?
Oh man, do you guys know Sid?
yeah.
You haven't met him. He's a good guy.
That's
He's,
great.
he's
Next
over
time you're in
there.
town, I'll introduce you.
Great.
Yeah,
He'll
yeah.
be
you
in
never-
Banff. If you're up there, I'll introduce you.
Yeah, Banff heard it. I heard that was a fantastic conference.
Dude, Banff doesn't
Perfect.
exist. It's
Right.
like fucking it's a shire. But
Thanks
so
to all our Canadian
like,
listeners. Won't see any of you again. Keep going, Ron. Let's offend some more countries.
give us time. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
We
we're
have
only
a
on
quota.
episode 2. Jeez.
We have a quota here. But no, it's sort of right. Like, to me, like the way what I liked about your paper, Dave, is the way you described the first, and I can't remember what you called it, but that first, like, here's how traditional safety is practiced was, dichotomies. That's a whole other podcast we're going to have eventually, but like it described how I was trained. Like, I have a certified safety professional certification. I'm part of the ASSP. I've got my degrees in safety. Like, that's how I was trained. The second thing you described is more, when I was reading that, that's how I wish I was trained. That's the stuff that I wish I'd been told, because that's what I find myself needing more of. Like, the technical questions that I have to answer, I can look up, or I can easily find someone who knows the answers to them. But like, knowing how to help people synchronize and coordinate better to deal with complex work, we figure that out on the fly, right? Like, that's just, you know what I mean? Like, and setting up the ability to learn proactively, we figure that out on the fly. Like, to me, these are more interesting and important things that we need to do. And so, to your point, Ben, like, how do you hire? Like, honestly, if I didn't hire someone who had the traditional qualifications, I probably would have a harder time explaining why I want to hire this person. So, to be honest, like, I think you have to at least meet a minimum criteria of what people expect you to find. Like, the customers that we deal with in my organization, I have to show them, like, here's a person that I'm bringing to the site to manage safety. They'll say, oh, talk to me about what their background is. Like, if they don't meet a minimum threshold, I can't bring them in the door.
Yeah.
But I also need those other things. I need the ability to coordinate. I need the ability to talk to people, to understand work, all that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of people with CSP after their name who are assholes.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm good. Yeah, I'm going to be good to go. I'm ready to go. Look, boys.
Did we lose Dave?
Here we go.
Oh, shit. Oh, man. This guy
is the only one of us that doesn't already have it. So.
Are you going to take that exam?
I got bored, right? And what I thought I'd do.
If you're having trouble sleeping, like, I will read you a bedtime story. You
like I said, I'm not in LA or Colorado. I have trouble sleeping.
No. Listen, Ron can coach you on this.
So anyway, I was curious about these things, right? And I've got my Australian-based certification, and I've got a bubbling away project that I want to get every global certification I can find for safety, and do like BCRSP and CSP
longest fucking business card ever.
And IOSH and Grad IOSH and NEBOSH and do all of them, right? And just to, I guess, confirm to myself that they are all as shit as I think they all are.
You could be completely incompetent and get all these certifications.
And so totally intolerable. Like, everyone hates him, but now they have words to describe.
It's like when for business cards, it's like, I'm gonna need a bigger page.
It just folds open.
Yeah. It's like one of those Z cards that just folds out.
Yeah. But your LinkedIn profile is just going to be so good.
Oh, it'd be insane. But I'll be lobbying for more characters. So, but I mean, the thing is this hamster wheel, right? Like you mentioned, Ron, is that organizations are used to having a certain thing. So then
Yeah.
we continue to train people for that certain thing, and safety people continue to perform that role. And as I said, we end up on this fucking hamster wheel, right? And I always say, who's going to break the cycle, right? The professional associations aren't going to break the cycle because most of them don't really have any understanding or vision about the profession. And
Well, and there's money associated with certification.
Regulators aren't going to do it. And then all of a sudden, CEOs and boards and executives aren't sitting around twiddling their thumbs all day, just navel gazing about their safety team, right? They're of the view that, well, if the safety team needed to do something differently, I'd expect the safety team to come and talk to me about it. And the safety team are kind of sitting there going, well, the organization seems to be okay with what we're doing, so we'll keep doing it. No one fucking takes any action to, improve the situation. So that's a bit the soapbox. So whenever I talk to safety teams, I say, just do something about it. Go and talk to your organization about, a more impactful role you can perform. Start to think about what capabilities you need for that, like humble inquiry or coaching or whatever it is, and get on with it.
And to that end, like in my organization, you just described everything you just said is 100% my organization. Like they expect a certain thing out of me, but they also don't know enough to stop me when I stop doing those things. Like seriously, like I've told my people, like all that compliance stuff, yeah, it matters, but deprioritize it. Only do it if you have time. Step one's you're going to go out and you're going to talk to people, you're going to go out and understand work. Like, we do those things first. Cool. And my organization's fine with it, and like, yeah, not every organization is going to be that way, but like, I think people have a lot more leeway than they think they do.
Yeah.
And, well, it's education though, right? I mean, you're educating up, and that's scary sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Right. So as a safety person, very often you're reporting to some executive level position. And if I go to those folks and go, hey, look, I'm not really sure what it is I ought to be doing around here, that's self-incriminating, it feels like sometimes, right? Like, also, you hired me and I don't know what I'm doing.
People already really suspect I don't know how to do my fucking job. I don't need to tell them.
but it's not what you're saying, but it's how it's interpreted, right? By some, or you imagine it being interpreted that way. And for me, the thing that just baffles me all the time is this magical thinking that executives know everything. And that, for going back to Boeing, right? And there's all this publicity about you're going to change the CEO and it's going to change everything. Well, it fucking won't.
No.
I mean, it won't, right? And the safety team who is there and the quality team who is there, and look, I don't want to ruin what they're doing. I think they're working crazy hard at this sort of stuff. And at the same time, trying to teach people higher up in the organization what in the hell this stuff means.
And I think
that's tough.
I think that managing up is a bit of a distraction as well. Like an executive conversation. Like I know organizations that talk, like talky, no more talky type, just like actually get out and
do.
You mentioned Billy Madison before, I think. But just go and do it. And I think it's horizontal coordination as well, right? Like go find the construction manager or the project manager or the ops manager and go, you know what? This is how I think I can help you more. I can get a far deeper understanding of the work your people do, the challenges they face, how we're not setting them up to be effective and successful in what they do, and come back and share insights and opportunities for you to make your work better and more productive and more safe and all of these things. Instead of, coming and doing this audit, although I'm curious to know how your audit went this week, Ron, but doing audits or last week. And most or all sensible ops people would go, oh, gee, that would be helpful. Please do that. Like, instead of.
or the other way around though, too, Dave, right? Where, because it's one way to say, here's how I think I can help you. And I'm not smart enough to come up with things like that most of the time. So I just try to ask folks, right? So you got here this morning. Do you have enough people to do the work today? Or does it are you feeling like, are you stressing out about that kind of thing? And, if I could give you access to knowing a little more about this thing, what could you do with that information? Does it help you? Because if it's not helpful, I'm not going to hand noise to you. But if I can go out and talk to people in the field and help the only one of you that there is, can I give you anything that would help you make better decisions? And realistically, if we come back to what both of you are saying, is like in a well-executed safety role, it's that person making those connections vertically, horizontally, that holistic view of risk. None of that has any damn point unless someone gets work done better. And to me, that's asking, here's some data that I think I can provide. What decisions can you make if I could give that to you? And that's a cool way to get into it. It's how do I help you do shit? I don't know.
I love
I
that.
think
What do I know?
Oh,
I
you-
love
you
that
can-
for you.
I say sometimes that
Thank you.
I think sometimes
I
with
love that you love that for me. I'm sorry, Dave.
I think that's right. I think time, information, and resources, right? Like if you can solve any problem or make anything work with enough time, enough information, enough resources. But work's not like that. It's always time constrained, it's always information constrained, it's always resource constrained. Yeah. So understanding, like you said, Ben, those questions that drive it, at what point is the tipping point for the work? And we never quite know exactly where it is, but we should, as safety professionals, be able to have very heightened senses for when we're approaching those margins, right? By the conversations that we have with the people who know what
to keep people
normal,
safe from
who
themselves.
know what normal kind of looks like, who know what's normal kind of looks like for that work. Fuck off.
Well, yeah, because like fundamentally at a leadership level, you live and die by the decisions that you make, which means you live and die by the information you have to make those decisions, right? And if we can shine a light on A, how things are going right now, but also B, the effect, including unintended consequences of decisions, it helps them make better adjustments.
Yeah. And
right? Like it helps them know what their next move needs to be. Like I think a lot of times we think our leaders are really bad and don't give a crap about safety because they're getting bad information.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't know the questions to ask, and there's that fear of sort of and looking like you don't know things.
And I think it's a challenging role. Like when I looked at this and looked at all of the literature that had kind of been published, I came across the chapter and paper from Dave Woods on the 4 eyes of a safety organization, and that's well worth a read. That's what drove that paper that you mentioned, Ron. Is I went to him and said, "Look, I've read pretty much anything I could find on the safety profession, and this is what I thought was the most insightful and relevant." Because Woods talked about being informed and informative. Like, you have to be informed about the work that people do and how they're doing it and why they're doing it in the ways they're doing it. And then you need to bring something to the table, be informative to your organization, like give your organization a new and different perspective on that. And the way we need to do that is to be involved and independent. We need to be involved enough to be there when the decisions are being made, be around the table, be in the action, in the movie. Not even the coach on the sidelines is in the movie, calling timeouts and adjusting plays and supporting the team. But be independent, be at least socially, organizationally, cognitively independent enough to not, I guess, fall into line with the group think that's going on in that. And this is where these challenge paradoxes, how do I be involved and independent, at the same time, is a challenge. And you have to sort of think, I think as a professional, it's the same for us as we talk about frontline work. It's constant adjustments in our role. So
I don't know that happens enough. I think that independence almost gets threatened by having the certifications, right? Or by having, much as I think some of those things are useful, I think if everyone's going through the same certification process, there's a fair chance we're not allowing that independence, right? And I was talking with somebody about this the other day, about the whole concept of HOP, right? And this sort of religious adherence to some of those things.
The 5 commandments.
Yeah, or just, and Dave, I know you and I have talked about this, right? The people are the solution, and they're a solution to something. Oh, always, whether something is what we want, I don't know. There are limits to all these ways of thinking, right? And we didn't make it this far as a society by just fucking everything up wholesale. up until now. So there's probably some ideas there. And
Give
I
us
just,
time.
yeah, no, I just think that independence is almost informative. Yes, I think is something that a lot of safety folks struggle with, but that ability to think independently of OSHA, here in the US, as
Mhm.
this safety means complying with these things. But OSHA says yeah, cool. Cool. They don't have a monopoly on good ideas
Yeah.
or ways.
I'm not sure they've got a monopoly on cool either.
Yes. So we're sort of whittling away at the list of who might even listen to this, let alone watch this
Look, I think,
little
I mean,
podcast.
and
of
again, it's
ours.
like with all these things, we're not, I wouldn't pass judgment on intentions, right? I think
Mm-mm.
I think the
Yeah.
intentions are, like there's so many people in this profession that are very well intentioned, really committed,
Yeah.
just inside a system that I think is fundamentally broken.
Like,
and so, yeah,
and I just, yeah, I 100% agree. Sorry to interrupt, but like the whole like you got to care, you got to have passion as a safety professional is great, but it's completely insufficient.
Yeah.
Like it's just not good enough.
Necessary, but not sufficient.
Exactly. You have
Because
to have it.
caring deeply and then operationalizing that as being a complete asshole telling people that they don't know what they're doing. I mean,
it
these are
seems a bit like a theory of multiple causation, each necessary, only jointly sufficient.
It's so if the Swiss cheeses line up, then
I
it's
prefer I prefer Domino's to cheese.
of course you do.
But
it's the pastrami sandwich theory of safety professional effectiveness. You should look it up. It's well
important.
researched.
It's a
Well
really
researched.
pivotal piece of research. Right after Dave Wood's stuff.
Yeah. Did we solve it? Did we figure this out? Are
I think we
we?
were close.
Oh.
Like I said, I think the system is fundamentally challenged. And when people ask me about the future of the profession, I talk about a few different potential futures. One is, and I'm curious because Ben, you work in industries I don't work a lot in, like aviation and healthcare and that, and Ron, you're in the action as well in projects. When I started my career, my role was quality, safety, and environment, and the Q was the biggest aspect of my role, the quality aspect of the role. And now what I see in organizations is most of those quality departments that I saw used to exist are gone. Right. In some industries like healthcare, I see quality teams, but they're mainly regulatory approvals teams, like FDA approvals and FA and stuff like, and manufacturing pharmaceuticals and so on. The big quality teams that used to live in construction organizations. You have, I think, quality in projects, doing your factory acceptance testing and your ITPs and all that sort of jazz. But I think what organizations realize is I've got this big quality function with their quality manuals and their ISO certifications, and it's so disconnected from the work that I'm just going to expect production managers to take care of quality because that's kind of their job. And these big organizations that we hailed as quality icons, Toyota and Volkswagen and all these companies had these massive controversies and quality issues, and I think those are going to say, "Fuck, what is my quality team doing?" And the operations team go, "I don't fucking know who the quality team is."
That's right.
And they're gone. And I think safety, if it doesn't become more relevant to operations improvement and operational value, then maybe we get a small admin function tucked away in legal or commercial or corporate communications or something, and stay the hell away from my work.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild to think when you have a lot of safety folks around, you run the risk of as you said, Dave, people saying, now we'd be better off without them. Like, I don't know why we need all these people. They're not doing the work. But as soon as they're not there, that deprioritizes it, and people notice that too.
And I'm like, there's an organization, large one, US based, delivers parcels to your door.
Sure.
More than 8,000
rhymes with no.
It's shares a name with a jungle somewhere in South America.
Perfect.
I've got 8,000 safety professionals. So you sort of run the sums on 125. I don't know how much you get paid, Ron, probably, handsomely, but you run the sums on 125K a year.
$1 million.
It's a
I don't like to brag.
It's a
kind of a big deal. Ron's kind of a big deal.
It's $1 billion a year, right? $1 billion direct investment on having a safety team, right? I'm like, fuck, give me.
That is crazy.
But maybe fair enough, right? 1.5 million people and things like that. But give me $1 billion and see what we can do with that investment in an organization, right? And I think that's where, it's
you
not
give me $1 billion, I'm gonna fuck right off. You just never see me again. It's I could find somebody else to do this podcast with. Sorry.
I'm gonna take my.
He's gonna be off making his own fucking t-shirts on his own. He doesn't need a podcast
I was gonna
anymore.
say I'm gonna take my t-shirt. I'm gonna fuck off and all right. Well,
look,
but yes.
I want to share one thing because I was thinking about this earlier and then I blanked for a while. But I was talking with John Greene about this. It was probably in Banff. It's a nice place, I hear. But someone asked him, what do you think makes for a good safety person? And he said, I'll tell you what I don't want is a stamp collector. And I thought, oh, that's fucking brilliant, man. And the reason for him was, and John ice climbs, and I, in a slightly less fat condition, used to ice climb. So I have an appreciation for this stuff, right? That purposeful navigation of risk, right? Having a relationship of climbing in this dynamic environment where shit's just falling apart, and then someone else who's choosing to make the riskiest thing that they do, trying to find a damn stamp somewhere on the internet. And I think, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think what he was getting at is, look, you've got to be good at understanding that this is a negotiation, that it's a trade-off, and that it isn't made of absolutes. And if I'm looking at the rest of your life and you have no tolerance or experience with that, I'm kind of skeptical that you're going to fit in and doing a good job here.
Yeah.
But no stamp collectors, according to John, which I thought was a cool way of putting it.
I think it
There goes our last two listeners.
He's a smart.
Yeah, sorry.
John's a smart guy. I don't know if John is a punk rock kind of guy. Probably is. I reckon he'd be mad for it. But yeah, look, the whole
he
thing,
may not know it yet, but he is.
It's all just like it's 50 Shades of Grey, right? What we do.
Wait a minute.
What?
The book or the what's? I mean,
that
really. I don't know what safety profession you're working in, but I don't.
You were talking about gray. You're talking about gray areas.
Oh, now it's making more sense. Sure.
Man, your job's way more exciting than mine.
Yeah, Ron thought you had a sex cave.
So what did we agree for episode 3? What can so if those two last listeners didn't leave, what can we look at? What did we say for episode 3? Was it leadership?
Oh yeah, I think it was
MMA.
Yeah,
MMA.
Yeah. Let's do it. MB
Management by walking. MBWA.
WA. Yeah, we're really good at like.
Is it
Gemba?
Gemba?
Oh, Gemba walk. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Felt leadership.
We're gonna go do. We're gonna. Okay, that like. Yeah.
That's also back to 50 Shades of Grey, and I don't think that's appropriate.
Yeah, it's. That'll be good.
Wrong podcast.
Rock and roll. Thanks, lads.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Good chat.
That's it for number 2. Number 3, it's leadership. A little more punk rock. Before we leave, you've been listening to any good punk music lately? I've had the Vandals on repeat.
I did have the Vandals
like 3 days.
So on the WhatsApp chat, as soon as the Vandals came up, I was like, "Fuck yeah, Warped Tour, 1997." Yeah. I'm pulling out.
I hate that you guys are gonna be here in Pomona, going to that friggin' festival, and I'm gonna be in DC. That's crap.
Yeah,
nice crap.
For our one remaining listener, if you want to join us in Pomona,
meet up.
January.
I don't even know what it's called.
You know, we're gonna do that. It'll be like Wollongong, Ben. I think our approach to the pod should just be to do really cool shit that Ron misses out on.
Not even that. It's not even that hard.
It's not. It's
Just like
it'll be
postseason when we're
easy.
watching OKC and Denver play, you know, when middle of April when the season's done for Ron.
Hey, are you guys having fun? It looks like a really, really good game.
Can I
Just
come?
live streaming
Can I
it.
come? Can I come to the next one,
We're over
guys?
here in Cancun.
Yeah. Well, no,
All
but
right,
yes.
so Vandals for me and Dave. Ron, a lot of Simon and Garfunkel over
A
there.
lot of
What's going on?
Simon and G Funk. You know, honestly, what I've been listening to a lot is not punk rock, but it's I've been listening to Killer Mike's new record.
Oh, fucking
you know,
great.
I love
Yeah.
that record. Like, it's so good.
I'm
But-
here for it all day, man.
Yeah, I listened to it once and I got hooked, and so I've been listening to a lot of that. So,
All right.
Awesome. Have a good week.
hi boys.
Good boys.
Peace.